Hey guys, thumbspazm here with another thumb on the pulse. I hope you guys are excited and ready. This is going to be the news that gets our blood pumping, so let's get going. SOT, ooh, no Sea of Thieves, TOTP, Thumb on the Pulse. That's what we're doing right now. We have a lot to touch base on today. Again, I want to say welcome to Thumb on the Pulse. I hope you guys are in for a treat because we got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. First and foremost, console news. We've got news in all three different main consoles, so we're going to touch on that a little bit today. PlayStation 5. There's a lot of big stuff that's been going on with the PlayStation 5. The State of Play went on just a couple days ago. We did do a little bit of live coverage of that on stream, so if you want to check that out, feel free to go back to the VOD. But in all honesty, it was kind of boring. Not a lot of big announcements as far as I was concerned. There were some games that kind of piqued my interest. The Hitman series got announced, the Hitman 3 VR version, Godfall, Temtem was another big game that was announced that people were very excited about. Hood, Outlaws and Legends, The Pedestrian, Controls DLC was announced, the Star Wars Vader Immortal was another VR thing that was announced, Bugsnax, but the one that really interested me the most was the one called The Pathless. That one looked really, really interesting. They also announced a title called Spelunky 2 and Crash Bandicoot 4. So those were some of the games they announced. If you are excited about any of those, please let me know down below. We're not going to dive too far into any of those games today, simply because there were a lot of them, and as news comes out about them, we'll touch base a little bit. There is a little bit of news on some of them coming up later in the broadcast. But in regards to the PS5 itself, there was a lot of accessory news that came out as well. The PS4 DualShock controllers will play PS4 games on the PS5, but it won't be compatible for PS5 games. So keep that in mind. You can hang on to your PS4 DualShock controllers, but these puppies will not work for PS5 games, only the PS4 games on your PS5. Any licensed third-party PS4 controllers will also support the PS4 games, but just the PS4 games, even on the PS5. Different specialty peripherals like licensed racing wheels, arcade sticks, flight sticks, things like that, all are going to have similar stipulations on that. The Platinum and Gold wireless headsets will work just fine on the PS5. They're thinking that the third-party headsets with USB or audio jacks should work. You don't have to have a headset companion. The Move and the Aim controllers will work just fine for your VR setup. However, the big news that Sony has kind of flopped on lately is their PS5-ready TVs. Sony put out two different models of televisions and were advertising them as being PS5 ready. The reason why that tagline is a little bit important is because a lot of companies are trying to get their televisions ready for the new generation of consoles, meaning 4K ready, 8K ready, streaming 120 frames per second, different kind of hot topics like that are things that the televisions are worried about right now as far as television sales are concerned. I guess the companies that are making the televisions are worried about. Sony has, of course, they've got their own models of televisions. They've put out two different models that are supposed to be PlayStation 5 ready. Those two models are the Z8H and the X900H. Now, the problem with that is, yes, they can support 4K. Yes, they can support 120 frames per second. They just... The problem is that they aren't ready to play the PlayStation 5. Because of those hot button phrases, 4K, 8K ready, 120 frames per second, that's how they're advertising as PlayStation 5 ready. When approached by different news sources, there was nothing to corroborate other than those 2 points. What makes these TVs PlayStation 5 ready? The big thing is that their HDMI outputs are out of date already. They're putting in HDMI input ports that are common for TVs today, but not common for TVs that will be present or necessary in the future to run these next-gen consoles. The Z8H will only support 4K and 120 frames per second content on one of its 4 HDMI inputs. So that's the other thing, and that model won't support it out of the box. They don't even know if it'll support it once the PS5 is released. In fact, Sony was approached, asked if the firmware necessary to make that one HDMI port ready for the PS5 is going to be out by the time the PS5 is released. They had no comment on that. So that's something interesting, as well as the X900X. That one doesn't yet support for 4K 120 or the HDMI features that also needs that firmware update in order to be compatible. So those are things that we're a little bit concerned about with those TVs, and people are concerned about in TVs in general with these next gen consoles and fully optimizing the capabilities of them. One more bit of PlayStation 5 news. There is rumors about Socom coming out. Socom is an old shooter title that I was a huge fan of. It revolutionized shooters at the time in the fact that they came with headsets for the PlayStation, and you actually could communicate with the characters, not necessarily your players, but the characters themselves, in-game characters, communicating tactics with teams and things like that. It was very, very interesting, and I'm very excited to see what they kind of stumble upon if they do decide to come out with Socom for the PS5. Now, the rumor is that Socom not only is going to come out for PS5, but might even be out as soon as release of the PS5. It comes from a reliable source. I don't know who that is, but it came from somebody that was reliable at one point and has leaked some pretty reliable news from Sony. So let's hope, at least for my sake and for my old shooter brain sake, that Socom comes back with a vengeance and makes a really big return. We're going to move on to Xbox news now. The Xbox Store has been redesigned and is supposed to be a lot faster now. There have been a lot of complaints with the efficiency of the Xbox Store in the past. As of August 5th, which was like almost a week ago at this point, that will be released to Xbox Insiders. You can sign up to be an Xbox Insider through Microsoft.com or Xbox.com. But for everybody else like us normal folk, it'll be coming out in the fall. So be on the lookout for that Xbox Store being more efficient for your downloadable content, purchasing games, and hopefully some more sales will come out with that massive launch of a new store. The Xbox Series X has also been announced within the last week, or at least since our last report, that it will be backwards compatible with all Xbox One controllers, including the standard and Xbox Elite models. It seems like this week was a big week for accessory news, so that was kind of neat that we got a little bit of information on the new consoles in regards to what accessories we currently own as consumers that will work with the system in the future. There was a big one on the Xbox Game Pass news. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate fans are currently allowed, now this is kind of a theme with Microsoft right now, releasing these new fun things limitedly to exclusive types of customers, the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate customers, as well as the Xbox Insiders. Both of those people will have access as of today, which is August 11th, will have access to not only that new store, but also the Xcloud in the Google Play Store. This is a thing for only Android devices and Android users, but if you have access to Google Play Store on a device and have an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription, you have access to Xcloud. Now, you can purchase the subscription and then in turn get access to the Xcloud, but there are a limited amount of titles of games available on there right now, but it is Microsoft trying to dip their toes into this new wave of mobile gaming, trying to get a soft launch for it so people can get going and get rocking and rolling. Not a lot of news on the Xbox. That does give us the opportunity to move on to our next company, which is, of course, Nintendo. So moving on to Nintendo news, we do have a little bit in regards to my favorite part of the news with this whole Nintendo thing is that the next Direct for Nintendo will be between tomorrow and the 22nd of August. We've got about a 10-day window that we're within now. It was supposed to be between the 10th and the 22nd, but obviously it wasn't yesterday. It's not today. So we've got a little bit of time left to wait before we actually get more news like we have with the PS5 and with the Xbox, but from Nintendo. So be on the lookout for over the next 10, 11 days for the next Direct announcements from Nintendo. I can guarantee we will be part of that as well, doing another live broadcasting of it. Ah, yes, the next news. Twitch Prime. Anybody out there hear about Twitch Prime? I think it was announced either yesterday or today. But Twitch Prime is no more. Amazon's taking a completely new approach on how they market Twitch Prime, and it is now called Prime Gaming. This will be featured on Amazon's website as opposed to within Twitch now. In my opinion, this is kind of a slap in the face to Twitch. It literally further separated Amazon from Twitch, in my opinion. Basically, the idea with replacing it with a Prime Gaming marketing title, in Amazon's argument and defense, of course, is to better advertise the benefits you get from Prime Gaming or Twitch Prime, including but not limited to games that you can download for free, the perks that we get in our games, like the stuff they've been offering through Grand Theft Auto Online, Red Dead Redemption Online, Apex Legends, games like that, and then a lot of other different tiny features that Prime Gaming really does offer gamers that hasn't been utilized. They've been curious as to how marketing this gaming perk to your Amazon Prime subscription exclusively through Twitch has been limiting their reach. Now, with that said, it makes me nervous, especially with a company like Mixer going down lately. Is this the beginning of the end of Twitch? I'm not sure. It really makes me nervous in the fact that a company as big as Amazon, who's helped Twitch thrive so much, is literally distancing themselves from a beneficial marketing standpoint for both companies. As Twitch members, we constantly preach the Twitch Prime as a free subscription to try out subscribing to your favorite streamers. It's going to be harder to, I don't know. I guess maybe that's my own speculation, the fact that it might be a little bit harder to push a product that's not directly affiliated with the platform that I am involved with, because I don't technically consider myself an Amazon streamer. Like, there's Facebook streamers, there's YouTube streamers, there's Twitch streamers. There aren't any Amazon streamers. There's no Prime streamers. And that's the curious part at this point. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and move right along. We have some Apex news, folks. This is some of my favorite news, especially since we're going to be playing Apex later on today with Morbid Corpsey. If you guys don't know who it is, Morbid Corpsey is another Twitch streamer. We'll be playing with him later today. The new trailer for Season 6 and Apex Legends has dropped. It is available for you to view whenever you would like. It is quite intriguing. It definitely shows off the editing skills of the people that work for Apex and for Origin. At the same time, it didn't really tell us much about Season 6. With a little bit of investigation and help from our friendly Fox, we have gotten more information on Season 6 and the fact that it is going to premiere a new character. Her name is Rampant, and she is going to be right here. She has got a big fat gun. It's the Volt SMG. It's a favorite from Titanfall 2. The developers of Apex have also announced a new crafting system that'll kind of come along hand in hand with Rampart and her character. The crafting system, as far as I understand, will be geared towards the weapons themselves, so you can kind of upgrade the weapons as you go. Theoretically, in the same type of vein as loadouts and things like that, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. Season 6 does launch on August 18th, so we don't have to wait very long until it happens. Next week, we may be reporting on how I feel about it. Shoot, we might even do a little review video on Season 6 and how we like it. Next on the list, though, this is kind of where we're going to start cranking through some news. We're going to talk a little bit about Halo 3. Halo 3 is a game that is approximately 13 years old. It came out in 2007. They've recently announced that after 13 years, Halo will be getting new weapon skins and new guns in the game because that multiplayer game environment is still thriving. Halo 3 was a super inspirational and unique game when it came out. It kept true to its original multiplayer roots and basically kept it simple. That's why, in my opinion, Halo 3's multiplayer is still popular to this day. It just keeps it simple. There's new cosmetic content that you'll be able to unlock by competing in challenges in MCC. These include all sorts of things like racing up kills with power weapons, getting headshots, of course, earning double kills, normal first-person shooter type achievements in order to unlock new equipment, unlock new guns, skins, things like that. Lots of other 2020 announcements and features planned for Halo 3. They're going to do crossplay server region selection, which you haven't been able to do up until this point. They're going to create a custom browser, or I'm assuming already have created a custom browser for Halo 3. You're going to get individual game graphics and audio options now. Steam support, so you can connect your Steam account to it, and hopefully get that PC, Xbox gaming back and forth, especially since one of the other announcements was that it's going to get more support for Xbox, plus tons of other features. So keep your eye on Halo 3 if you're either a first-person shooter fan or a Halo fan. Keep your eye on Halo 3 in 2020, for the rest of 2020 at least, because there's gotta be some new stuff coming out, some good stuff. So keep an eye on that. We're gonna move into some of the pre-orders right now. I did want to bring up again, Crash Bandicoot 4. It was announced in the State of Play for PS5. It is currently available for pre-order in both physical and digital formats. The release date officially is October 2nd. What is it called? Lost in Time? Just in Time? This time only? Wrapped in Time? It's about time. Other pre-orders that are available, the grown-up Pokemon game Monster Crown is in early access. Avengers, the new Marvel Avengers game, is available for pre-order with beta access. We already talked about PS4 having an exclusive Spider-Man character. Unfortunately, it won't be available in the Avengers game on Xbox or PC. NBA 2K21 and Madden 21 are both available for pre-order. We talked about a game called The Medium. It's on sale on Steam for pre-order right now with a 10% off deal. Hyperscape releases today. That's another, I think that's an Ubisoft first-person shooter, and Battletoads will be released on October 20th. The last one I wanted to bring up, though, is the one that I'm the most excited about, and I still haven't yet pre-ordered it, so shame on me. That'd be Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. We have been playing Skater XL on stream, which I've been loving, and I'm a big fan of. However, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is one that I will be picking up. I cannot wait for the remake of this first and second game. Same songs. We're going to get both the first and the second soundtrack on that. Tony Hawk comes back with a vengeance with all of his friends. And of course, all the graphics are going to be updated. Just this image right here of the first level from the first game, that gets me stoked in its own regard. I cannot wait to see how they revamped all of the unique maps. I will be pre-ordering mine as soon as I make it round to a GameStop. I want. All right, more fun facts that we stumbled across in reporting some of the news today. We do have Fall Guys news. It is now one of the most popular games on PS Plus. Deemed the feel-good game of the summer. It is for free, which is how I'm playing it. Also, $19.99 in Steam. Doom Eternal announced their DLC, The Ancient Gods. There was no release date announced for the DLC. However, we will get a full trailer on August 27th. Last of Us 2 leaked some information from an unannounced source that we will be getting some sort of multiplayer version to Last of Us 2, which I am crazy excited about. A development began on the evolution of some sort of factions mode within Last of Us. The vision of the team grew beyond an additional mode that could be included with our enormous single-player campaign, meaning that we'll have factions that we have to protect, areas that we have to fight for against not only the zombies, but also other teams, which is going to be the interesting part of that multiplayer. Not only pinning us up in groups to defend against zombies, but also other teams. So very excited on that one. Rocksteady confirmed that there's going to be a Suicide Squad game. So I'm not sure who out there is a big fan of either the Suicide Squad comics or movies, but there will be a video game out there for you. Nintendo is currently recruiting a 2D level designer, but nobody really knows what game it's going to be for. Any thoughts on that? Leave comments down below. Nintendo has announced officially that Animal Crossing is now the second highest selling Switch game of all time. It is only second to Mario Kart 8, which currently sits at number 1 with 26.74 million copies sold. Animal Crossing has just gotten into the number 2 spot at 22 million copies sold. On the Animal Crossing notes, we do have a cute little picture because if you guys aren't familiar, there's a talk show on Twitch as well as available on YouTube, and we'll try to put a link to that in the description down below. But there's a show called Animal Talking, and it's been a big hit ever since Animal Crossing came out, where people are interviews are held within the Animal Crossing world. It opened its recent episode with a performance from Selena Gomez and Trevor Daniel. They performed their new song Past Life. Lastly, we've got a little bit of news on CyberPunk. CyberPunk is a game that has been announced a while ago and is creating a lot of buzz. CyberPunk is a new trailer, and there's an overview about it talking about gameplay that we found online. It gives a lot of insight to the game and a lot more information that we haven't had to this point. Please go, we've got another link to the overview, and that'll be also in the description down below. If you want to check out that overview on YouTube, it talks a lot about all of the new weapons that are coming out, how you can get the new weapons, and the different scenarios they're going to create for all of us to just make the game that much more engaging. From the makers of Witcher 3, I do expect a lot of good things from this game, and a lot of hype has been surrounding this one. If you guys have been enjoying Thumb on the Pulse, if you guys have enjoyed me doing these news reports and have any feedback, please feel free to give that to me on the YouTube page. We're going to have comments below. We're going to have different opportunities in Discord for you to interact with the show as well as contribute. If you guys have any news articles or news that you've heard of that you'd be interested in hearing about on the show next week, please feel free to contribute to that and submit them. But we're going to keep this thing going. I enjoy being on the pulse, no, that was just bad. I enjoy being in the know. I know that we have the people that we have that help us research these types of articles, really enjoy what they're doing with this. So please help us perpetuate this and make it something that we can keep on doing. Now, if you enjoyed the show today, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. With that said, my name is Thumbspazm. I hope you enjoyed Thumb on the Pulse. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening.